We did discuss, we have a meeting this morning, we have a meeting with the Prime Ministers, but more importantly is that we discussed the principle, the 6 criteria that we have. Certainly when we are still monitoring the situation closely, but the most important, I think the 2 is the border control as well as the movement control. Lifting the MCO doesn't mean that we're going to lift the border control. In fact, we need to strengthen the border control. As you can see, that more than 180 countries are involved in involved in terms of they have cases. So border control must be strengthened. But what we are looking into, perhaps, we have not actually highlighted whether we will continue the MCO or not. But the criteria is basically we are looking into how we can advise the Prime Minister accordingly with regards to the local movement control. So we are based on the cases that we have, for example, the daily cases, looking to the RO, looking into the trend that we are seeing today. Today, I think for the last couple of days, we are seeing double digit. That's good. But what we like to what I would like to draw the attention here is today we have 71 cases. 19 cases are imported cases, so which means 52 local transmission. Out of the 52 local transmission, 22 involving foreign workers from India, Bangladesh, as well as Pakistan. That is from Selangor mentioned. So again, so we need to really look into the local transmission. When we ease the MCO and movement control, basically we need to look into the local transmission as well. So these are some of the indicators that we have. And I mentioned earlier, we have 6 indicators. We need to compile all the 6 indicators before we can advise the Prime Minister accordingly to make a decision whether to continue the MCO or whether there will be a baby step exit strategy, or you call it soft landing for our exit strategy. So I think this is something that we will discuss in next few days.
So you haven't discussed this?
We discussed the principle, but now we need the facts and science basically behind it before we can table concrete evidence to show that whether we need to extend or not. On the virus, yes, when we look into the virus, today we do know that there are 3 strains, A, B, and C. But we also know that there are more than 30 mutations being reported. And what is more important, that if there's a mutation, then we need to see the details of, in terms of the research of this type of virus. Maybe the behavior is different, maybe because it's a new virus and the diagnosis as well as the treatment. So I think this is a new area. For example, virus probably if they have a few strains, then what about the vaccine? So the vaccine to which strain, for example? So likewise, we have been talking about dengue. We have 4 strains in dengue. It's difficult for us to come up with a vaccine, and this is a difficult challenge that we have, and more complexity in terms of identifying the right vaccine for the right strain, for example. And the last question in regards to travel, I did answer that.
So do you think it should be prolonged? Do you think it should continue pending?
Yeah, I think that's the most important in terms of border control. That is the I think because you look into imported cases, the success of the control is basically the border control. We need to tighten the border control, especially when we look into more cases being identified in other countries. So we need to tighten the border control so that the easing of the restriction may be, we are looking into economic in terms of whether we can allow some of the economic sector to take off first, whereby the social, the education sectors will have to wait a little bit more longer. So I think we have to do it slowly but surely, but more important is that in terms of our exit strategy must be something that is implementable, and we will continue to monitor daily in terms of the situation. So we cannot leave it up totally, but slowly. and what you call it, I will call it a soft landing before we can actually take time. It may take in a couple of weeks or even months for us to slowly, continue to embrace the norm, the new norm in our society.